The laughter faded as the clock struck 6, the room filled with friends and family, unaware of the storm brewing. With a glass raised high, my husband, Mark, declared he was embarking on a new journey without me. Just days shy of our 30-year anniversary, he reveals his plans to move in with someone else, leaving me standing there, heartbroken and speechless. The applause that followed felt like daggers, each clap a reminder of the life we built, now desperate to ashes. My name is Clara. I never expected to be the guest of honor at my own farewell. As I stood frozen in place, the weight of Mark's announcement settled heavily on my chest, suffocating me. I felt the world around me blurring into a haze of confusion and hurt, faces becoming unrecognizable as I struggled to comprehend what had just happened. My mind raced, flooded with memories of our years together, the laughter, the struggles, the quiet moments when we could simply exist in each other's company. Each recollection was now sad, tainted by betrayal, a beautiful tapestry unraveled by a single, angry, selfish thread. The room buzzed with chatter, but I could only hear the relentless pounding of my heart. I glanced at Emily, my daughter, who was sitting at a table with her friends. Her eyes were surprised, her mouth slightly agape, as if she too was grasping the enormity of the situation. I wanted to reach out to her, to reassure her that everything would be all right, but the desperate words lodged in my throat, heavy and unspoken. Instead, I turned to look at Mark, who was basking in the attention of the crowd, his smile betraying a sense of freedom and relief that cut deeper than any knife. "Clara," he called, breaking the spell of silence that had encased me. "I didn't mean to surprise you like this." The casual tone in his voice made me want to scream. Did he truly believe this was a surprise? It was as if he had completely forgotten the vows we exchanged, the promises we made to weather life's storms together. I inhaled sharply, feeling the stares of our friends boring into me, and suddenly I felt the desperate urge to flee. I needed air, fresh, clean air that could perhaps clear the fog clouding my mind. Before I could think any longer, I found myself slipping out of the venue, the soft glow of the exit sign guiding me away from the laughter and celebration. Outside, the cool evening breeze wrapped around me like a comforting embrace, a stark contrast to the suffocating atmosphere I had just escaped. My feet moved instinctively toward the park bench, just a few yards away, a place where I had often sought solace. I sat down, letting the cool metals seep through my clothes, grounding me in reality, and tried to gather my thoughts. It wasn't long before I felt a presence beside me, and I turned to see David, my best friend, taking a seat. His expression was a mix of concern and empathy, and he didn't need to say a word for me to know he understood the gravity of the situation. "Clara, I'm so sorry," he finally said, his voice gentle yet firm. I could see the anger and disbelief swirling in his eyes, feelings that mirrored my own. "Are you okay?" "Does it look like I'm okay?" I replied, unable to keep the bitterness from creeping into my tone. His brow furrowed, and for a moment, I regretted the harshness of my words. But how could I pretend? How could I find the strength to put on a brave face when my sad world had just crumbled beneath me? "I feel like I'm in a nightmare," I admitted. The tears that had threatened to spill finally breaking free. David let out a slow breath, his gaze fixed on the ground, searching for the right words. "I can't believe he would do this to you, especially after everything you've built together. You deserve so much more than this." His voice was steady, a hopeful lifeline in my chaotic thoughts. I nodded, grateful for his support, but the truth was that it didn't erase the pain. It didn't change the fact that Mark had chosen someone else over me. As the silence hung between us, I took a moment to breathe in the fresh air, trying to settle the storm raging in my mind. "What am I going to do, David?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. "How do I move on from this?" The thought of starting over felt daunting. A mountain I wasn't sure I had the strength to climb. "You take it one step at a time," he replied, his gaze meeting mine with an confident intensity that made me feel seen. "You've always been stronger than you realize. This is a chance for you to, hopeful, rediscover who you are, Clara. You've spent years being a wife and a mother. Now it's time to focus on you." I opened my mouth to protest, but he raised his hand to stop me. "I know it's not easy, but it's possible. You have so much to offer, and this isn't the end of your story. It's just a new chapter." His words echoed in my mind as I sat there, a hopeful flicker of hope igniting within me. I thought of Emily, how she must be feeling torn between her love for her father and the pain of his choices. I had to be strong for her, to show her that we could weather this storm together. "I need to figure out how to help her too," I said, the realization dawning on me that I wasn't just grappling with my own pain. I needed to support my daughter through this turbulent time. David nodded, his understanding palpable. "You can do this, Clara. You'll find your footing again, even if it feels impossible right now. And I'll be here every step of the way." With that reassurance, I felt a hopeful warmth spreading through me, not just from his words, but from the realization that I wasn't alone. I had a long road ahead, but perhaps it was one I could navigate with the support of those who loved me. As the stars began to twinkle in the night sky, I took a deep breath, a newfound determination solidifying within me. I was ready to reclaim my life, piece by piece. As the evening wore on, I found myself standing alone in the dimly lit corner of the backyard, the sounds of laughter and clinking glasses fading into the background. My mind raced with thoughts about Mark's announcement, each one more chaotic than the last. The party I had envisioned, filled with gratitude and celebration, had morphed into a surreal nightmare. I could hear the distant chatter of my colleagues and friends, but it felt like they were in another universe, one where my reality had not just shattered. I gripped the railing tightly, feeling the coolness of the metal beneath my palm, grounding me, reminding me I was still here, still alive, despite the emotional turmoil swirling around me. Suddenly, a voice broke through my daze. "Clara?" It was David, my best friend, his expression a mixture of concern and empathy. He stepped closer, sensing the storm brewing within me. "Are you okay?" I wanted to laugh at the absurdity of the question. How could anyone be okay after such a betrayal? But instead of answering, I just shook my head, my throat tightening as I struggled to hold back tears. David reached out and placed a comforting hand on my shoulder, a gesture that brought a hopeful flicker of warmth in the cold reality I was grappling with. "You don't have to pretend with me," he continued softly. "I'm here for you, whatever you need." His words wrapped around me like a hopeful lifeline. I had been so focused on the hurt and anger that I hadn't allowed myself to truly process what had happened. Mark's departure wasn't just a loss of a partner. It was the melancholy end of a shared life, a reality I had built over decades. I took a deep breath, trying to gather my thoughts, and finally admitted, I don't even know where to start. Everything feels like it's falling apart. David nodded, his gentle eyes filled with understanding. It's a lot to take in. But remember, you're stronger than you think. You've always been resilient. As we stood together under the twinkling stars, I felt the weight of my own resilience. I had spent years nurturing my family and career, often placing my needs on the back burner. Now, faced with this unexpected upheaval, I knew I had to focus on myself, to dig deep and find the strength that had been buried under layers of routine and complacency. I just want to be okay for Emily, I said, my voice barely a whisper. She's so young, and this is going to hit her hard. David sighed, his brow furrowing in concern. You will be okay, Clara. Emily needs you to be strong, but she also needs to see you feeling and processing everything. It's okay for her to see you vulnerable. It will help her understand that it's all right to feel pain too. The thought of Emily struggling through this made my heart ache. But David was right. I couldn't shield her from the reality of our situation. It would be better for both of us if we faced this together, navigating the murky waters of betrayal and loss as a team. Just then, I spotted Emily across the yard, laughing with some friends. Her happy spirit, a stark contrast to my own inner turmoil. She seemed so unburdened by the world, a child blissfully unaware of the storm brewing beneath the surface of our family. I felt a pang of guilt hit me. I had shielded her from so much, but now I had to figure out how to bring her into the conversation about what was happening. I knew it wouldn't be easy, and the idea of breaking her heart was almost unbearable. Yet, David's presence reminded me that I wasn't alone in this, and together, we could find a way to navigate the difficult conversations ahead. As the night deepened, I made my way back to the gathering, determined to enjoy at least a part of the evening. I tried to smile and engage with the guests, but a dull ache still resided in my chest. With each laugh shared and toast made, I felt more like a spectator in my own life, an outsider looking in. I caught Mark's eye from across the yard, and for a moment I saw the flicker of guilt behind his confident demeanor. Did he realize the extent of the pain he had caused? I hoped that in his pursuit of happiness, he wouldn't forget the family he was leaving behind. In between conversations, I stole glances at Emily, who seemed to shine like a beacon of light amidst the chaos. Seeing her so joyful ignited a spark of determination within me. I needed to be strong for her, to give her the love and support she deserved. As I weaved through the crowd, I found myself instinctively approaching her, my happy heart swelling with pride at the young woman she was becoming. "Hey, sweetheart," I said, wrapping my arms around her. She leaned into me, her warmth instantly soothing the rawness of my emotions. "Are you okay, Mom?" she asked, her brow furrowing in genuine concern. I hesitated, caught between the urge to protect her and the need for honesty. "I'm working on it, Em. It's a little tough right now." She looked up at me, her bright eyes searching for answers, and in that moment, I realized that being honest about my struggles was crucial. "But I promise I'll figure it out," I continued, my voice steadying. "We're going to get through this together." With each passing moment, I felt a hopeful flicker of resolve sparking within me. I had to embrace this new chapter of my life, no matter how nervous it seemed. If I could show Emily that facing challenges head-on was possible, perhaps we could navigate this storm together, emerging stronger on the other side. The night would not define me. It would be a catalyst for change, a stepping stone toward hopeful reclaiming my happiness. As the party began to wind down and guests started saying their goodbyes, I took a moment to reflect on the journey ahead. The road would be long, filled with uncertainty and sorrow, but I was confident, ready to confront it all. I wanted to redefine my life, to discover who I was outside of the roles I had played for so long. And with that realization, a sense of hope began to blossom. I could rebuild, I could thrive, and most importantly, I could show Emily that love and resilience could flourish even in the darkest of times. As the days turned into weeks, I found myself navigating a nervous fog of conflicting emotions. Each morning, I would awaken to the sound of silence that filled the house, a stark contrast to the bustling life I had known. Mark's absence loomed large, not just in the empty space beside me in bed, but also in the quiet corners of our home that were once filled with laughter and shared dreams. Emily, caught between loyalty to her father and her unwavering love for me, often drifted into her own nervous world of confusion. I noticed her staring out the window, lost in thought, as though she were searching for answers in the sky. I wanted to comfort her, to assure her that everything would be okay, but I felt like a shipwrecked sailor struggling to keep my own head above water. One afternoon, I decided to take Emily out for ice cream, hoping to create a moment of normalcy amid the chaos. As we sat at a small table, the sun casting gentle rays upon us, I watched her pick at her sundae, lost in her thoughts. "Mom," she finally said, her voice barely above a whisper, "do you think Dad will come back?" My heart sank. I had been dreading this question. How could I give her an answer when I didn't even know what tomorrow would bring? I took a deep breath, searching for the right words. "Sweetheart, sometimes people make choices that we don't understand. We can't control what others do, but we can choose how we respond." She nodded slowly, but the uncertainty in her eyes told me she needed more reassurance. In the days that followed, I began to focus on myself in a way I hadn't for years. I joined a local yoga class, hoping to find some peace amid the turmoil. On my first day, I was struck by how out of shape I had become, both physically and mentally. Each pose felt like a battle against my own body, a reminder of the years spent prioritizing everyone else's needs over my own. The instructor was patient, guiding me through each movement with encouragement. "Remember, this is about your journey," she said. And for the first time, I allowed myself to believe that I deserved to, hopeful, invest in my own happiness. I also started reconnecting with old friends, including David, who had always been a steady presence in my life. When he came over for coffee one rainy afternoon, I poured out my heart, sharing my fears and frustrations. "I feel so lost, David," I confessed, my voice trembling. "It's like I'm trying to find myself again, but I don't even know where to start." He listened intently, nodding as I spoke. "You're stronger than you realize, Clara. This might be your chance to discover who you are beyond being a wife and a mother. Think about what makes you happy." His words lingered with me long after he left, igniting a spark of determination that had lain dormant for too long. As I began to explore new interests, I rediscovered my love for painting. I hadn't picked up a brush in years, yet as the colors danced across the canvas, I felt a sense of freedom that had been absent from my life. The strokes became an outlet for my emotions, each piece telling a story of heartbreak, resilience, and hope. I even decided to enter a local art show, something I had always dreamed of but never dared to pursue. The thought of putting my work out there terrified me, yet it also excited me in a way I hadn't felt in ages. This was mine to own, a representation of my journey and growth. Meanwhile, Emily was finding her own path as well. I encouraged her to join a theater club at school, knowing how much she loved to perform. One evening, she burst through the door, her face excited with enthusiasm. "Mom, I got the lead in the play!" Her joy was infectious, and I couldn't help but share in her excitement. I watched her as she rehearsed, her confidence blossoming under the spotlight. In those moments, I realized how important it was for both of us to pursue our passions, to carve out our identities outside the confines of our family. Despite the progress I was making, there were still moments when the weight of Mark's departure felt insurmountable. I would sit alone in our living room, the silence echoing around me like an unwelcome guest. I had 1,000 questions swirling in my mind like an endless loop of uncertainty and fear. I found myself staring at old photographs of us, happy times frozen in time, wondering where everything had gone wrong. One night, I finally gathered the courage to reach out to Mark, hoping for clarity. As I typed out a message, my hands trembled. "Can we talk? I think we need to find a way to understand this change." The response took some time, but I knew I needed to face whatever was coming head-on. The evening of our meeting felt heavy with anticipation. I arrived at the cafe early, the smell of coffee mingling with the nervous energy in the air. When Mark walked in, I could see the weight of his choices etched across his face. He looked different, almost a stranger. I steeled myself, reminding myself of the journey I had embarked on, ready to confront the man who had been my partner for so long. As we sat across from each other, I felt a mix of fear and resolve. "Why?" was the only word that escaped my lips at first, raw and piercing. I was ready to listen, ready to understand, but more importantly, I was ready to reclaim my narrative. The moment was pivotal, a step toward understanding that could reshape the future for both of us. Mark shifted uncomfortably in his chair, his gaze dropping to the table as if searching for answers among the crumbs. I could see the tension in his shoulders, the way he clenched his fists, as if summoning the courage to share his truth. "Clara," he began, his voice low and trembling, "I never meant for this to happen. It just did." I felt a surge of frustration. The words felt sarcastic, like an excuse rather than an explanation. What does that even mean? What about our years together, our daughter? Did they mean nothing to you? My heart raced as the realization hit me. Our entire life, the family we built, was reduced to a fleeting feeling for him. "I've been feeling lost for a long time," he continued, looking up at me, his eyes searching for understanding. "I thought I was doing the right thing by trying to find happiness again. I thought you'd be happier without me." His declaration hung in the air, heavy and suffocating. I felt a wave of anger rise within me, mixing with the hurt that had settled deep in my chest. How could he think leaving would bring me happiness? The sound of my pulse thudded in my ears, drowning out his explanations as I absorbed the weight of his words. Mark, you don't get to decide what's best for me. You've made a choice, and it's not just about you anymore. My voice trembled, not just with anger, but with the deep well of sorrow that threatened to spill over. Emily, our daughter, had always relied on both of us. She deserved more than this upheaval. Have you even thought about how this affects her? She's just a kid. And you're angry, throwing her life into chaos for what? I couldn't shake the image of her face when she learned the truth. How her innocent world would shatter. I know, and I'm sorry, Mark replied, his own voice cracking with emotion. I wish there was another way, but I've fallen in love with someone else. She makes me feel alive again. The confession struck me like a physical blow, and I blinked back tears. So it was true. This younger woman was real, and he had chosen her over us. The betrayal felt like a knife twisting in my gut, and I couldn't help but wonder how long this had been going on. Had he been plotting this while I prepared for my retirement? Had I been oblivious to the signs? Does she even know about Emily, about us? I demanded, feeling a surge of protectiveness for my daughter. It was infuriating to think that this new love could overshadow our lives, our memories, as if they meant nothing. He hesitated, biting his lip, and I could see the guilt shadowing his features. Not yet, he admitted quietly. But I want to be honest with her soon. I don't want to hide this. His sarcastic earnestness clashed with the reality of the situation, and I angrily fought the urge to scream. I wanted to shake him awake from this delusion, to show him how foolish he was being. But instead, I sat in the nervous storm of my emotions, trying to navigate the treacherous waters of my heart. I need time to think, I finally said, my voice confident, steadier than I felt. The idea of losing everything I had known was daunting, yet I could sense a hopeful flicker of resolve rising within me. This could either break me or become a hopeful catalyst for my own transformation. I stood up abruptly, needing space, needing to breathe, away from the weight of the conversation. I can't look at you right now. As I stepped out into the cool evening air, the world outside felt strangely muted, as if it understood my pain. I wandered to our favorite bench in the garden, the place where we had shared countless laughter-filled moments. Now it felt foreign, tainted by his betrayal. I buried my head in my hands, letting the tears flow freely. I remembered my wedding day, the vows exchanged, the love we felt, and I struggled to reconcile that image with the man who sat in our living room, ready to abandon everything we built together. In the midst of my desperate despair, I heard footsteps approaching. David, my best friend, appeared, concern etched across his face. "Clara, what happened?" he asked, gently, sitting beside me and offering a comforting presence. I inhaled deeply, grateful for his unwavering support. "Mark is leaving me for someone else," I managed to choke out, my voice barely above a whisper. The pain felt fresh, raw, as I recounted the shocking revelation. David listened intently, his eyes surprised, widening as I spoke. "I'm so sorry," he said softly, placing a gentle, reassuring hand on my shoulder. "You don't deserve this. You've always been there for him, and this is how he repays you?" I nodded, the validation helping to ease the storm inside me just a little. "I don't even know who I am anymore, David. All these years, I devoted myself to my family. Now it feels like I'm just nothing." He turned to me, his expression serious. This doesn't define you, Clara. It's hard now, but you have the chance to rediscover who you are. You're stronger than you think. I let his words sink in, and a hopeful spark of determination flickered within me. Perhaps this was the moment I had needed all along, a hopeful chance to redefine my life outside of Mark's choices. Maybe it's time to focus on myself, I said slowly, a sense of clarity beginning to emerge. I need to find my own path again. David smiled, a hopeful spark of encouragement in his eyes. That's the spirit. You're not alone in this. I'm here, and we'll figure it out together. I took a deep breath, feeling the hopeful weight of despair begin to lift, replaced by the hopeful beginnings of hope. It wouldn't be easy, but as I looked at David, I realized I wasn't as lost as I had thought. Maybe, just maybe, this was the hopeful start of something new. As I stepped out of David's comforting presence, my mind swirled with a medley of emotions. The spacious living room felt like a cavern, echoing with memories of happier times, laughter bouncing off the walls. I could almost hear the echoes of our family celebrations, the joy that once filled our home, now replaced with a heavy silence. I glanced at the framed pictures of Mark and me, snapshots of a life built on love and shared dreams. Each image, angry, felt like a betrayal now, haunting reminders of the life I thought was secure. I needed to confront this upheaval head-on, to transform the chaos swirling inside me into something manageable. I wandered into the kitchen, seeking solace in the familiar routine of making tea. The kettle whistled, cutting through my racing thoughts. As I poured the steaming liquid, I thought of Emily and how I could shield her from the fallout of Mark's decision. She was just a teenager, and the last thing I wanted was for her to bear the weight of adult decisions. I could picture her, her brow furrowed in confusion, her heart likely wrestling with disbelief. I had to protect her, to help her understand that while things seemed to be breaking apart, our hopeful bond as mother and daughter remained unbreakable. After taking a moment to gather my thoughts, I decided it was time to talk to Emily. I found her in her room, headphones on and lost in her world, likely trying to escape the reality that had recently shattered our family. "Emily, can we talk for a minute?" I called softly, hoping to draw her attention without startling her. She lifted the headphones and regarded me with a mix of curiosity and wariness, sensing the tension that lingered in the air. "Sure, Mom," she replied, her voice barely above a whisper. I stepped into her room and sat on the edge of her bed, the softness of the comforter beneath me reminding me of the many late-night chats we had shared. I took a deep breath, my heart pounding as I prepared to navigate this delicate conversation. "I know things are tough right now. I want you to know that it's okay to feel upset or confused. What your father said, it wasn't just hard for you, it's hard for me too." Emily's eyes filled with tears, and I felt my own heart ache for her pain. "Why would he do this, Mom? Doesn't he love us?" The innocence in her voice was a dagger, piercing through the turmoil within me. I wished I had the perfect answer, the words to shield her from the harsh realities of adult relationships, but I knew all I could offer was honesty. People sometimes make choices we don't understand. It doesn't mean he doesn't love you or me. But sometimes love isn't enough to keep a family together. She nodded slowly, absorbing my words, but still looking lost. The silence that followed felt heavy, as if we were both grappling with the sad weight of unspoken fears. I reached out, taking her hand in mine, a gentle gesture meant to comfort both of us. "We will get through this, Emily. No matter what happens, we will always have each other. I'm here for you, always." As I spoke, I realized I needed to find a way to show her that life could still hold moments of joy, even amidst the pain. "How about we start a new tradition? Just you and me. Maybe we could go hiking or try a cooking class together. Something fun to look forward to." Her eyes hopefully brightened a bit at the thought, and I could feel a flicker of hope start to illuminate the dark cloud that had settled over us. "That could be cool," she said, her voice regaining a hint of enthusiasm. "I always wanted to learn how to make pasta." I smiled, grateful for this small victory amidst the chaos. We began to brainstorm ideas, and with each suggestion, a hopeful sense of purpose began to form. The hopeful laughter that had once echoed through our home could return, piece by piece. Later that evening, as I prepared dinner, I felt a wave of nostalgia wash over me. I busied myself chopping vegetables, trying to immerse myself in the rhythm of cooking. It was a familiar act, one that grounded me amid uncertainty. The aroma of garlic and onions wafted through the air, a reminder of countless family meals shared around the table. I hopefully envisioned Emily and me laughing over a delicious homemade meal, reminding ourselves that we could create new traditions despite the upheaval. Just as I was about to set the table, my phone buzzed with a message from David. "Hey, just checking in. Remember, I'm here if you need anything." A warmth spread through me at his thoughtfulness. Having someone like David in my corner made the daunting journey ahead feel a little less lonely. I texted back quickly, grateful for his support and eager to share my progress with Emily. Once dinner was ready, I called for Emily, and we sat down together, sharing stories and laughing as we indulged in the meal. The conversation flowed more easily, the tension from earlier melting away. For the first time since Mark's announcement, I felt a small flicker of normalcy returning to our lives. I couldn't predict what the future held, but I was beginning to believe that with each day, we could create a new path forward. That night, as I tucked Emily into bed, I felt a confident sense of resolve settling within me. I knew I had a long road ahead, filled with challenges, but I also understood that life was an ever-evolving journey. Embracing the unknown was daunting, yet it also held a hopeful promise of new beginnings. In that moment, I realized that I could rewrite my own story, reclaim my happiness, and forge a brighter future for myself and Emily. As I walked out of her room, I felt a renewed sense of strength surging through me. I was ready to take the next step in this journey.